Hey there, Fight Shank here with a quick introduction to membership sites or how to make membership sites work for beginners. So this is for you if you haven't had a membership site in the past and you like the idea of doing a membership site. Now let's begin with the big idea. Why do you want to do a membership site? The idea behind it really is to have recurring income. And you see this in practice over and over again. For example, we just bought a Nespresso machine, and the Nespresso machine is sold for next to nothing because they make all the money on the back end. They sell us those coffee capsules. Fine. The same goes for printers these days. You buy a printer and there you go, they make all the money off the ink. If it weren't for those cheapo ink sets you can buy for next to nothing. All right. But the idea really is all about it's about recurring income, getting paid month by month without having to do marketing over again. And that is basically the fundamental of marketing and sales. It's very expensive to acquire a customer, relatively speaking, compared to then selling them over and over again. And with the recurring income, you don't even have to sell over and over again. It's basically done automatically every month. The money comes out of the account. So that's nice. Now, in my opinion, email marketing is even better in terms of recurring income because once you've developed marketing systems where that are proven to convert X dollar, well, $1 going in into more than $1 going out, that is more powerful than recurring income in many cases or in most cases because there's almost unlimited traffic out there. But converting that unlimited traffic into recurring income is relatively hard, and I'll show you why in a second. However, it also brings us to basically the biggest insight here is if you can combine membership sites and email marketing, that is really where the holy grail is. So you monetize the traffic you're getting in the first place through email marketing. You do follow up, you sell all kinds of products, and at the same time you're getting them into your membership sites. Alrighty, with all of this in mind, that is all about you. You want to make money, which is very, very cool. But we kind of need to turn this around and ask, why do people seek out your content in the first place? And we'll get back to that in a second. Alrighty, so what we're doing here for the next few minutes is have a look at three things. Basically, the reason to stick, why people come to you in the first place and why they stay in your membership site. Then how you get content to get people excited, and then how you get members into your membership site. So let's look at reasons to stick. First of all, there is the membership sites the membership site that is of the type content. Oops, there we go. So basically what we can have is a monthly newsletter where you pretty much get random content. And examples of this are, for example, GKIC, that's Dan Kennedy's thing, Glazer Kennedy Inside a Circle. Perry Marshall, Chris Cardell. The first two are of the type, they're kind of mixed. There's an online electronic version and also you get a paper version. The Perry Marshall one I'm a member of. I used to be of GKIC, didn't really do it for me. This is not, by the way, some kind of statement if it's good or not. It's just it wasn't for me. Whereas Perry Marshall I really like, and that's a mix of monthly webinars, plus you get, of course, the physical newsletter, plus you get a CD, which you can then listen to. Something very similar to what Chris Cardell did. He was mostly about the physical newsletter and the CDs. He didn't have the online stuff, but that was quite a few years ago. I checked out his stuff. Now, with all of this, the reality is people stick typically because the price point is right. There's a lot of, this might be useful at some point, okay? There are lots and lots of great ideas. It's big picture thinking. You get excited about, I could be doing that, but in practice, it's very hard. Now, GKIC kind of had the great ideas along with swipe and deploy type content, meaning, there's a great idea is explained, but also here's something you can steal immediately, the whole thing. There's a marketing piece you can deploy in your own business. But of course, looking at business growing, business building, marketing, that requires you to have a business that fits that model. Meaning, in their case, a lot of it was based on offline kind, sending out physical mail. And because I wasn't doing that, that wasn't so appealing to me. But, if that is what you've got, very, very good. So, think about the other way. Can you get swipe and deploy type content, if we're talking about marketing, but anything where people can immediately apply it without having to think about it, that is great type of content. But of course, the price must be right because it's full of good ideas and you're only using a small subsample of all of this. And if you're using very little of it, which was the case for GKIC for me, just because it wasn't a good fit, not because it's not good, then at some point you cancel. Alright, so that's the monthly newsletter, which is a great type of content if you've got the right audience and the right ideas for it. The next one is where you basically teach stuff. Very specific, here is the thing. And people who have done this or doing this very successfully is, for example, Chris Farrell, who's basically all about online marketing. I think it's pretty much complete beginners. I've never signed up for his program, but the way it's being pitched, I think it's aimed at complete beginners. Here's step by step. Here's how you set up your whatever you're hosting. This is how you set up your autoresponder, blah, 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 blah. Vic Hutchinson has a slightly different model. And what he has is he teaches you stuff, but it's in the form of big rooms, so the training room. So he's got, here's everything he knows about social media. Here's everything he knows about whatever, SEO. Here's everything he knows about XYZ. But a lot of that is actually aimed at helping you, the member, sell a piece of software typically. Vic does a lot of software. So it's aimed at helping you sell that software. So you typically get the right to that software. And then all the training around that is aimed at helping you sell that piece of software. And then you get all the money off it. It's a very nice model. You basically, everything you need is given to you in both the product you can sell as well as the training to sell it. And now all you need to do is go and take some action. And for that, he then has regular training calls. So nice model there. But he's basically teaching you how to sell the piece of software you bought off him or the license you bought. All right. Now, the reality is, typically, people who come to this kind of model, where you teach something, have a specific problem they want solved. So they have very specific ideas. I want to make money by selling software products, for example, might be something. So as a result, you must solve the specific problem. It's not like the monthly newsletter of random content where you go, oh, we do a bit of this, bit of that. But it's all, it's focused on this one thing. Now, your problem in general is at some point it has been solved. The problem has been solved. For example, if I want to teach my dog how to walk on two legs, at some point the dog can walk on two legs, and thank you very much, now I have no more need for your membership site. In Vic's case, it's slightly different because you can only charge for the piece of software whilst you're a member of his program. So, that's how he gets around that kind of thing. But a lot of these things are, problematic because at some point the problem has been solved. And think, for example, MLM. My brother is into what they call Life Plus, and they have a great program, absolutely fabulous program for losing a lot of weight very, very quickly. I went through it and lost like 22 pounds in something like 3 weeks. It was absolutely ridiculous. But once the 22 pounds are off, it's like, all right, there's no need to stick in the program. And that is the big problem with teaching stuff. At some point the problem is overcome. And that's why a great other model is, of course, solving the specific problem in the micro-continuity way, which is basically a term invented by Russell Brunson, where you go in, you solve the problem, and then you're done. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on, that sounds a bit like a payment plan, doesn't it? I mean, people pay to have help with the problem being solved, and then, they pay me on a monthly basis, and it's done. Well, yes and no. And as you'll see in a second, in the second part community, there's a reason why micro-continuity is better than having, here's all the content and, it's solved and you just pay me on a monthly basis for 6 months or something like that. Alrighty. So, summary of all of this is there's typically a just-in-time versus just-in-case. Just-in-time is I have a problem now, I want it solved right now, versus just-in-case, which is what you see at the top here, where people go, yeah, I like those big ideas and I might be using them at some point. Okay, so with just-in-time, you can typically charge more if it's a very specific problem and solves a real problem. For example, Vic does a charge quite a bit more than, for example, Perry Marshall and GKIC do. But in general, the membership is, or duration of the membership is shorter because at some point the problem is solved. Unless, of course, you do it like Vic, who then says you can't sell my piece of software anymore. With just in case, you can charge less, But at the same time, some people stick for a very, very long time. They just never open the newsletters and just go, at some point during the holidays, I will read all of those newsletters. Alrighty, so that's kind of something you need to weigh up there. Alrighty. So this is content type. This is the content why people stick. Now let's look at community. Examples here are Sean D'Souza. Sean D'Souza has a forum where people exchange information and ask him questions. And the key thing there is he's not even there all the time. They love him so much for being in there and doing it in a very non-hypey way that he goes away on long summer holidays and, I don't know, he takes, I think, a third of the year off, and people go, no, go away on holidays. We'll take care of ourselves. And they basically have built a proper community where people help each other. It's quite similar to Digital Marketer, although Digital Marketer is not one person, but that is Ryan Deiss' company, and they have quite a few people who are very, very active in that group. It's basically a Facebook group. But of course, the membership you pay for is a paid membership where you get pieces of content. And the beauty there is basically they put out pieces of content and then discuss it in the membership group. So that's a very nice model. Now, in general, there is a good reason to have a community, and that is basically all to do with bonding. You have a great opportunity all the time to interact with your crowd, and as a result, they know, like, and trust you. And by the way, this is not an evil trick to persuade people to know, like, and trust you. No, not at all. It's people who are in there and who like your style. They'll basically come to know and like and trust you. And those who don't like your style, well, they'll leave at some point. And that's perfect because you end up with a situation where people know, like, and trust each other in a very natural way. Alrighty. So how do they do it in practice? Sean D'Souza has his own forum, old school. And other people, like, for example, Digital Marketer, they use FB groups. There is no right or wrong. The beauty of a forum is, of course, you can automate the chucking people out very, very easily. If you haven't paid up, you're no longer a member. Whereas with FB groups, if you have large groups and, Digital Marketer have thousands of members, it does probably require a bit of, maintenance, if you like, to kick out those who are no longer members. Now, the bonding part is extremely helpful in general to make sales. Okay, the more people know and like and trust you, and by the way, I have a membership site. I'll show you that as a case study in a minute. The bonding part can be extremely helpful to help with sales, but it can also hold back your growth. If you're like Sean D'Souza, he's basically got it's what I call a lifestyle business. It's fairly limited in size. I mean, it's a very good size, but there's only so much he can do. He couldn't have 1 million members in his membership site because he can't answer all those questions. So there's a limit on the growth, and that's because he's one person. And I think his wife helps a little bit as well. Digital Marketer, they brand themselves as a company, and they have people in there. And there's Molly, there's a couple of other guys, plus Ryan hops in from time to time. So they manage the whole workload by distributing it across a number of people. But of course, if you're new to this, and this presentation is for people who are new to membership sites, then of course, you're probably not going to have staff. So at the same time, I wouldn't take this too seriously. Okay, Sean has a very, very, very healthy lifestyle, but it's not all because of the membership site. He mostly uses the membership site to basically build that know, like, and trust factor, and then he sells all kinds of other products. Okay, so that's the main focus for him for having a membership site, to build a community so people know, like, and trust him, and then they buy his other content and absolutely love the content and consume the content. Of course, it's a circular thing because they consume the content. They consume it and they post questions and interact on the forum, and as a result they get more out of the content. They love them even more. No, like, and trust factor goes up. They buy more stuff, etc., etc. So it's a circular thing, right? So do keep this in mind. If you want to grow a massive site, it might be a problem if you are the one, but at the same time, bonding is not necessary for a successful membership site. You can do without. But, it's a very useful thing to have. Alrighty, so these are the reasons to stick. Now let's close this down and look at getting content. So first of all, you can create it yourself or as part of a team. And that's what for example, I do in my own membership site in Funnel Assassin. So this is basically I look at my daily work, the stuff I do, the the various products I analyze, the sales funnels I analyze, and I put that in there. I then create specific versions for that, usually centered around one big concept of marketing. But it's all based on basically my own work. Oops, no. There we go. Typically when I do this, I first create a mind map, like you see here, and then I basically take that outline and record it or type it or whatever, and have someone else do it. But in my case, I do it myself. Now, as a little aside, when you come up with ideas for content in there, right? There is the one thing that's been taught in the marketplace, well, you simply ask your tribe what they want next. And although that is true to some extent, there's a bit of a warning here. When you ask people what they want next, of course, some will tell you, and then you create laser-targeted content for those. Where I'm saying no is actually two things. The first one is you'll always have the vocal ones who basically, put up their hands and say, yes, I want this. And if you only listen to the vocal ones, you're completely ignoring the quiet ones. So that might lead to a little bit of disillusionment with the quiet crowd. The other one is, of course, that people come to you because they want their problem solved. They see you as an expert. And if you ask too often, hey, I'm not sure what to create for you, it kind of demonstrates that you're lacking a bit of vision, a bit of understanding where they're at and where they need to get to. So, I would balance this a little bit and make sure, by all means, get them to tell you what it is they're struggling with, but not necessarily what needs to be created next, because this is kind of the expert's dilemma, or the reverse of the expert's dilemma. Expert's dilemma means that you know what's best for your tribe. And the dilemma is a lot of marketers or a lot of product owners go out and create a product based on what they already know people need, instead of giving them what they want. Okay, people need to eat less, and they need to eat healthier food, and they need to exercise if they want to lose weight. But they don't want to do that. They want to have a magic bullet. They want to have the magic pill, the Garcinia, whatever, Cambodia. They want, all that kind of stuff. They want the fat burners, blah, blah, blah. And that's basically expert's dilemma. You already know what's good for your tribe. So the temptation is to give them what's good for them. But that's not what people want. So, keep that in mind. That's kind of later on when we're getting to getting members and selling them. But of course, the flip side of this is also true. If you demonstrate that you have no idea what they need by constantly asking and saying, hey, I can create anything for you, you kind of say, well, I'm not sure what you need. And as a result, people go, well, are you really an expert, or are you just making this up? There is a big negative with the expert's dilemma, and that is basically I know what they need, and now they're not buying it. How come? So as a result, I'm making this thing absolutely perfect. So I have a buddy called Alex, and his wife is into teaching English to foreign students, and they focused on the design niche. So people who are designers and they want to learn English. And now they're creating the absolutely perfect product, because there's all this stuff people should know, and in reality, people, well, they just want to get the basics done and get going. All right, so keep in mind that what you know is not necessarily what people need or want, especially what they want. So create something they want in the first place, and then demonstrate expertise as you move forward. Alrighty. The interview model, something I've done myself, very, very powerful because it's super easy to do. And there are experts all over the place who have stellar content. Now, a couple of points on the reality of experts out there. A lot of people will exaggerate their expertise. So what I found is if I do 10 interviews with 10 experts, self-proclaimed experts, basically there is no such thing as an expert. When it comes to marketing, everyone is a self-proclaimed expert. I mean, even Oprah and, Dr. whatever is Dr. J, Dr. whatever, they're all self-proclaimed experts. And that's fine. They have an expertise, and then now they go and push it, they market it, they publish it. That's fine. In practice, I find out of 10, one has absolutely mind-blowing content. So 10% will, is something where you go, the world needs to know this stuff. Then another 1 or 2 have really, really good content. Then, up to, say, 50% have good content. And then the other 5 are just shit. That's hot air, self-promotion, pretending they have something, and they kind of buy into the whole idea of fake it until you make it. And you'll quickly see, it's like, okay, damn. Why I'm telling you this is if you choose the interview model, well, be prepared for doing 5 interviews where you go, oh man, thank you very much. And that's why I set up, short interviews to begin with, 20 minutes or so, and you very quickly see, even people who have like their own PR manager and their own VA who schedules the meetings, you think, oh, they're so professional. Then you come in and go, oh man, this is just hot air. Alrighty. That's the interview model, where basically you go out and you're kind of the interviewer. And the good thing about that is you basically now position yourself as an expert. You can ask a few good questions. The one thing I recommend is if you, for example, interview authors, I've done that quite a bit, you actually read the book. You'll be amazed. I mean, I interviewed quite a few big names in the consulting niche. And I said, well, in your book on page so-and-so, you write this. And he goes, what? You read my book? It was like, yeah, we're doing an interview about your book, right? And he goes, yeah, hardly anyone actually reads the book. And that was not specific to him. It's just a lot of people go out and interview experts without ever reading the book. They read the blurb and that's it. So not only are you making a great connection and great impression on the expert, but also you now position yourself as someone who truly knows what they're doing, because on the call you are reading, or you've read the content and you're demonstrating that you have read the content. As a result, you can ask intelligent questions. So the beauty of the interview model is establishes you as expert by association. So reality of the experts out there is a lot of them, like at least the 50% I mentioned earlier, will exaggerate. I've done various projects. I've done interview series where one guy went, all right, I have a list of 150,000. So when we do this, I'll send them all to your sales letter and go to our membership site, and it'll be absolutely awesome. And of course, of the 150,000, I think it was a total of 621 or so arrived. I'll share some more details on that in a second. Another buddy of mine in the golf niche did various projects, and he asked people, how many people can you send? And, oh yeah, no problem, 2 million. I'll send you 2 million. And it was ridiculous. I think in the end, they had about 2,000 visitors or so, which is like a factor of 1,000. In 1 second, I just got to have a sip of tea here. Alrighty, so that's the interview model. I personally like it because, it's fun. It's much more fun interacting with people on a call, I find, than asking written questions, for example, and or staring at a screen. I mean, this is all great, staring at the screen and telling you about all this stuff. But personally, I prefer interacting with other people. So, but of course, it's a personal preference, and of course, because of this factor down here, you are now an expert. Now, the next one then is getting content, where you are purely a publisher. And it's very similar to the interview model, but there are a couple of things. Yeah, I have no idea why this thing is down there. That little box. No, open up here. There we go. It's more like a warning here, all right? Most content owners, most experts think they are truly unique. And in a way it's true. They are truly unique. And of course, they suffer from the expert's dilemma. No. Here's what we need to talk about. This is what people need to know. You're going, all right, that may be so. But really what people want is, they've got one problem. They want to solve it. They want to solve it now. They don't care about the underlying theory and all this kind of stuff. I'll give you one example. And it kind of is a circular thing. I was called in to fix a project where someone had agreed to do a project on, or a product on, mobile marketing. This is when mobile marketing just started a few years ago. And when I was called in, the introductory video, just the overview over the whole program, was over 2 hours long. And I watched the first 10 minutes and went, all right, Mike, we need to cut this down urgently, cut it down to like 5 minutes at most. The overview of your entire product. And he then spent 2 weeks cutting and cutting and cutting, and finally had it down to 45 minutes. And guess what? The project never saw the day of light of day. It's just, he could not focus on the bits that are really, really important to the end user, which is, look, I have no idea where mobile marketing is. I want to have a step-by-step. This is the first step I need to do, the second step, the third step, and done. And then later on, once I see it works for me, yes, maybe you can explain how it works and why it's important to focus on all of these things. But in practice, anyone who really wants to solve a problem, they're typically not of the academic kind who want to study the field of mobile marketing, but instead they want to go and solve a problem. So this is a little warning. Working with people who are the experts, they have either this kind of thing where they go, I know what people need, and you then have to drive them in a different direction, or they suffer from the good old, is my stuff good enough? And as a result, they put in too much, like Mike did. I want to cover the whole thing, and they quickly lose sight of what's important. I'll give you another example. I'm working with two guys who've got a wonderful, wonderful program on basically working with personality types to solve all kinds of problems, whether it's business or personal growth, etc., etc. But they have had really bad experiences in the past with similar programs that went kind of national, then international, and what they see there was basically really, really against everything they stand for, and as a result, they're now struggling to put their own stuff out there because the other program they don't like was heavily focused on underhand, dodgy sales tactics and marketing. And now they kind of, at least the feeling I'm getting is that they're associating this sort of dodgy way of doing things with marketing in general, and as a result, they're not pushing their own product out there. Anyway, I'm hoping to get that fixed because their stuff is truly stellar. It's one of the 1 in 10, which is absolutely outstanding. Alrighty. Publisher model, there we go. So a summary of all of this is this. In general, the biggest obstacle is you, whether it's the expert's dilemma or whether you believe it's not good enough or whatever it is. At the end of the day, people come to you because they have a problem they want solved. And if you focus on that one thing, you'll very quickly see, well, actually, I don't need to worry about this. I don't need to worry about this. I just give people what they want and thank you very much. And then show some leadership. I am an expert by showing them a few things they maybe didn't know, or maybe things they should be considering but hadn't considered before. Alright, so this is getting the content. Now let's getting members. Let's get to getting members. The first thing, and this is based on personal experience, okay, and I've seen this over and over again. Forget about the straight to sales page. Selling memberships straight off, like, okay, sign up for a monthly recurring fee is very, very hard. GKIC give away $600 and something worth of stuff just to get you in the door. Perry Marshall he had a great term. What did he say? It was taping $10 bills to your free book or something like that. He was basically, every time someone signed up to his free trial for something, he was giving away $10. All right. Funnel Assassin, my own program, I've had it promoted through joint venture partners, and their conversion rates sucked. It was something like 2%, 2.5%, 3% of people signed up, even with the recommendation of the JV partner. Why? Because people didn't know, like, and trust me. When I promoted this to my own list, or promoted to new members, the take-up rate is much, much higher. Why? Because people know, like, and trust me. They know what to expect. They know that the quality inside Funnel Assassin is great. And although I have great testimonials on the sales page, still, cold traffic, it just does not work. Digital Marketer, they have small front-end reports. Here's another $7 report. And then, of course, if you want a ton of those, we have a membership site that is full of these reports. And that's, by the way, how I got into Digital Marketer. I got into it because of their small report, plus because a friend of mine recommended it. I know, like, and trust that friend. And he says, I'm part of Digital Marketer and their stuff is great. Go check it out. So I did. Okay, cool, fine. Sean D'Souza does something very, very interesting. All right. You must buy a report before you're even given the opportunity to join the community. And opportunity to join the community, that has a good ring, doesn't it? There is a method to that madness. So in a way, he's saying, well, it's closed, you can't come in, and there's a waiting list, and you must buy this report. So already it's very, very exclusive. But there is something else behind it. I'll get back to that in a second in the summary. All right. So that's getting members. All right. So you might be thinking, well, all right, cool. In general, you don't have a traffic problem. Okay, there is traffic for this kind of stuff everywhere. I guess I should have had a summary of getting members. Traffic is not your problem. Conversion in this case is your biggest problem, because driving traffic straight to a sales page for a continuity program is very, very hard. The only thing where I can see it working is if you have a micro continuity program and it kind of looks like it's a payment plan. Okay, and then people might go, all right, that's worth it to me, I'll go and have that. But in general, if you have especially something of the ongoing kind, like a monthly newsletter or something like that, you must build that know, like, and trust factor. And you can do it by either, like I do with Funnel Assassin, I have people on my list, I show them great content, thank you very much, now they're in. Or like Digital Marketer do, well, you buy the small front-end report, you kind of like it, and then you get lots more in the membership side. Okay, and it's a risk-free trial. Okay, why not give it a go? Funnel Assassin, I even have a $1 trial, and still, when people know, like, and trust me, they've seen my content, they get a lot out of it, cool, they like it. Cold traffic, even with the $1 trial, very, very hard. Sean D'Souza doesn't even bother. You must buy something else, and that way get to know him, and possibly like him, and trust that he can deliver great information. His front-end report is of high value, and then you get in. So with all of this, getting members, the big summary is you must build that know, like, and trust factor. It's not the same as selling a straight-off product. Alrighty. Summary of all of this then. Let's go back to the introduction. I asked, why do people seek out your help or your information? And it is because they are facing obstacles. So basically, all your focus should be on helping your prospects overcome those obstacles. Right? With everything you do here, starting with getting members, if you can focus on helping them overcome those obstacles, drive home the message that you're helping them overcome those specific obstacles, then you get a good response rate and people start to know, like, and trust you. You can then also use this as a guiding principle for getting your content, whether you're creating your own content, you're interviewing other people, or you're publishing other people's content. If it doesn't meet the criterion, it's helping someone overcome an obstacle, it's probably not that great. And the same goes then, basically, reason to stick. If you're facing an obstacle and you want to overcome that obstacle, and the membership site helps you overcome that obstacle, great. Now, this kind of drives home the point about micro-continuity. And I think one of the greatest models going forward for you should be to look at individual, and kind of, in a way, Russell Brunson did that. So you look at one particular problem, you build a micro-continuity program that could be X modules, could be as short as 3 modules, as long as 12 modules, whatever. And at the end of it, or throughout, you start highlighting, there might be another problem. So when they come to the end, you then get them into another micro-continuity program. So you kind of roll them from one program into another. That's basically all you're doing there. And it is all basically focused on helping people overcome specific obstacles. It's the same principle when you do email marketing. All right. In email marketing, if you do have a pre-written follow-up sequence that talks endlessly for a whole year about one problem, people get very, very bored, because at some point, either they figured it out themselves, they figured it out with your help, or they just got bored. They're saying, okay, I can't overcome this obstacle. Thank you very much. It's done now. But if you help them in a very succinct way, overcome that one problem, and now it's time for the next, people stay excited. They go, all right, cool. One is solved. Thank you very much. That's one off the to-do list. I want to do the next one. So 3 questions you can ask yourself, okay? Question number 1 is, what type of content I'm going to use? And basically, you need to decide, do you want to do drip-fed content, which is either drip-fed basically means just, it's released on a regular schedule, on a monthly, on a fortnightly, on a weekly, whatever, on a daily. But, it's basically, you get to put one piece after another, and then, is it on a forever kind, which has the advantage that some people will stay in it forever. But of course, at some point people go, well, I've got all these GKIC newsletters here. I'm not using them because all these swipe and deploy things, well, they're just sitting here. So goodbye, I'm canceling, all right? Or do you go with micro-continuity, which I just mentioned a second ago? Then, with this type of content, do you have a portal, or is it just drip-fed content, or is it a portal for access to your community, right? So if it's just drip-fed, fine, you just need a straight membership script. If you're doing a portal for access to your community, well, that could be Facebook, it could be your own membership script, it could be a typical good old style forum, or is it, of course, both. And if you do both, then ideally you have something that combines both seamlessly, so people can interact, and you can deal with members who are no longer paying. They're both locked out of the drip-fed content and the community. All right. Question number 2 to ask is the source of the content. Okay, and it's very, very simple. Your own content or other people's content. That's as simple as it is. Advantage, you saw earlier, if it's your content, you're kind of locked into it. With other people's content, it's easier to grow that business to larger sizes because it's other people who are providing the content and doing much of the work. However, of course, if it's your own content, it also helps greatly, like Sean D'Souza does, building that know, like, and trust factor, and as a result, you can sell more of your own higher-end content. And finally, question number 3, the source of members. If you're providing content, ask yourself, what free content can you give away to build that know, like, and trust factor, so people come to your sales page and go, oh, that's kind of interesting. And if you're interested, it's a shameless pitch for my own program. If you're interested, if you got a lot out of this, go and check out funnelassassin.com, right? It's one of my programs. It's a $1 trial. You can go check it out. And basically what we do is we analyze successful sales funnels every month, but it's not purely what they're doing, but also it's usually centered around one big marketing idea. So there's always a gold nugget. It's like, okay, when I take this one central idea, how do they actively implement it? What are the tactics they're doing? So you can then go and implement them in your own business. Alrighty, end of shameless pitch. So what free content can you give away? Like I'm doing here. It's like, here's some cool content. Or what low ticket, no risk content can you sell? Like Digital Marketer do. Here's a $7 report. It's not necessarily, these are reports, they call them reports, but typically it's actually delivered in a membership site as a sort of multi-module thing you can go through. It's a sort of an e-course. And if it's part of a big package or a bigger collection of individual reports people want, fantastic. And if it's a community, what are the shared goals and values and knowledge you want people to have? Now, this is basically what Sean D'Souza does, and there is a very good reason for doing so. There needs to be a barrier to entry, and this is not just the dodgy sales psychology trick of, haha, you can't have it, and therefore you're going to pursue it more. But it's really what you want with a membership site like this is to have like-minded people in there who truly believe what you've got is the right thing going forward. Because if you've got moaners and complainers in there, who were attracted by a free beer offer or, whatever, free massage. And it's like, oh, what? This is a marketing site? I wanted a free massage. And they start complaining about it. That is not really helping anyone. So the idea is to have shared goals and values and shared knowledge. The shared knowledge, of course, is something, it's a great thing Sean does with his report. You come in and you have to buy his, whatever it is called, the one with the bags on the conveyor belt report. And as a result, you're indoctrinated into his way of thinking, and you're also no longer asking the newbie questions. Okay, so you can focus on the high leverage points as opposed to going, all right, if you want to open a new tab in Firefox, you click on the plus sign. And I kid you not, all right, that is a question I've had. A client of mine, that was in the good old days when I unfortunately accepted clients who had they had absolutely nothing, and I accepted that particular client because it was a friend of a client, and he said, oh, can you please teach him? All right, I'll do. And he was at the level where he did not know what that plus thing was, basically the plus sign for opening a new tab in Firefox. And life does get a bit boring if you have to explain the plus thing over and over again. Alrighty. So the summary of all of this then is, here's my final piece of advice. Keep it simple. Keep it stupid simple, right? All of this, none of this is rocket science. I'll give you a counter example of how not to kiss it, okay? My first project, of course, this was being unsure about myself and my knowledge and my, whatever expertise. I set up it was supposed to be some kind of membership type thing with 12 experts. So 12 experts, 12 interviews, it all goes in the membership site. And they were all going to mail for it. And that was, for example, the 150,000. One guy had 150,000 subscribers and he was going to mail for the whole thing. So I scheduled the whole thing to happen during a business trip to London. I mean, how stupid can you be? Wonderful. So I was basically on the road, dodgy Wi-Fi access at various friends' houses. And because they all promised they were going to deliver this mass, huge torrent of traffic, I'd gone out of my way to set up several servers, all battle-hardened, ready for this torrent of traffic. Talk to Aweber beforehand. Could they handle all these signups and all that kind of stuff? So, millions of hits were going to crush this poor server. And then I signed or logged in during the webinar, during the seminar, at some break to check the stats and make sure the servers are still up and running. And oh, what is this? 621 signups. Out of the potentially millions that were going to sign up and the bazillions we're going to make 621 people signed up. I believe a handful attended the actual webinar and no one bought. There you go. That is the big lesson of overcomplicating things. Okay, I had bothered with individual landing pages for each of the speakers and hugely personalized follow-up email sequences. I spent weeks preparing this. A lot of it was basically pure procrastination because I thought, it has to be perfect and, is my stuff good enough, etc., etc., etc. At the end of the day, we made no money off it. I made some good connections, including, for example, Drayton Bird. He forgave me for not driving tons of traffic to his offer, but you get the idea. Okay, so keep it absolutely simple. None of this is rocket science. If you take the information I've given you here, just look at, when you do the traffic, don't send them straight to a sales page. You're much better off having some other content out there and saying, oh, look, by the way, I've got this membership site and, here's a PayPal link, and then you're in. Don't even bother with a sales page. You're much better off focusing all your effort on know, like, and trust. And of course, that is to a large extent focusing on their main problem, namely, what is the obstacle you're trying to overcome, and then help them overcome it, either by you helping or you finding the experts who have the knowledge to help them overcome that problem. So if you boil down any of this marketing, this business growing, this business building thing, is if you can figure out, and you can do this by asking what people are struggling with, and then either provide the solution yourself or find someone else who can, and do it in an ethical manner, all the rest falls into place. Alrighty, hope this was useful. If you have any questions, I'm sure there's a comment box somewhere around here, or if you just want to give some feedback, I always welcome that. Alrighty, cheers, bye.